This video will make your chess so much easier. There is just one strategy that you need to know. It all starts here in the opening. We need one solid opening that we really understand. Well, our opponent plays here c5, immediately trying to create a threat against us. All right, we are thinking, what is this threat? Is it a problem for us? Yeah, it's a little bit annoying if he can take. So we can just go forward. But I want to show you this special opening, the call it Zuckertort system. And for this opening, we can just play e3 and defend that pawn, because it's exactly the move we make in our plan anyway. One solid opening. It starts with the move d4, then we always place our knight on f3, and we develop our bishop to d3. That would be the foundation for us to attack on the king side. Essentially, that's going to be our plan in the middle game to checkmate our opponent. Because so many players, they struggle so much, they don't know what to do in the middle game. Well, this call it Zuckertort system helps you so much with that, because you already know what to do. Your bishop will be here, the second bishop goes over here, and those two will be just monstrous there. Our opponent plays d5. Again, first of all, we always think what the opponent can do, what kind of threats he creates, and here this move c4 might be annoying to a lot of players. It's actually not a big deal, but again, we can just stop it completely. We are playing b3 because it's our plan anyway. We want to place our bishop, and then we are ready to attack. So we want to castle here. We want to bring our knight to d2, and then this key move, knight to e5. Please remember it. This is the foundation of our entire attack. One thing to remember here, which is pretty important, this knight to b4 move. We don't want to lose our bishop. We need it to give a checkmate later on. So to stop that, we can simply play the move a3. The knight cannot go there anymore, and we are gonna play knight e5. One thing I want to point out, so many players have commented that this opening works only if they go kingside castle. I never get this argument, because this is the only way you can go here castle. But anyway, I want to mention that if somehow they try to castle there, it doesn't mean that your opponent doesn't work. In fact, this is much worse for the opponent. They just lose because they already opened up their king. And then it's easy for you just to attack here, just push all the way there. Your king is there. You don't want to play here where he doesn't have a king. The king is over here. So you want to open up the position on the queen side and just push all of your pawns, open it up, then develop all of your pieces this way and destroy him. So it doesn't mean that the opening doesn't work. It's just a very bad plan for black, which you win just by opening up that part of the game and building your plan over there. All right, so our opponent tries to somehow win on the queen side, which he should. This is the right way to go about it, but we are hopefully going to be the first one. We are going to create our threats in the center and of course on the king side. So we'll make this key move knight to e5. We are not wasting time with knight e2 because we want to already play this move f4, the key move. Just remember it in a combination. You play knight e5, then they try to attack you, and you answer with the move f4 to support this guy. And they play b5, which is a very reasonable move, trying to create some counterplay. And I think here the simplest is just to take on c5, because that stops this beautiful idea of c4. Remember, we want this bishop to be here. And also, it opens up our bishop. This is going to be in monster. In fact, we can immediately here take here on c6, take here on f6, and basically threaten some checkmates. Even bishop takes h7, followed up by queen h5 check, and rook f3 might be just checkmate immediately. This is so beautiful. I have an example game in this variation. Please take a look at the playlist after this video, where I show how Fabiano Caruana just checkmated, crushed his opponent completely with this exact idea. I think it can work here. Okay, the only active idea my opponent has is bishop e3. Remember, doesn't matter how great your move seems to be. You see that I'm so excited about it because I think I'm gonna deliver a checkmate, but still, first, I have to think what my opponent's idea is. And bishop e3 is definitely on his agenda. It's a move with a check, he's winning that pawn. But it's just a pawn. Is it really that important? Takes. He takes over here with the check. I step back. He takes. Now I take here on f6. He takes. I can even maybe win just a tempo with rook f3 because he has to solve this problem. Otherwise, I just win for free. And then I'm free to go like bishop takes h7, rook h3 check, queen h5. How are you gonna defend against all of those checkmating threats? Of course, you can just play rook f3. Just defend it, continue our plan, that would be completely normal. But if I'm given a chance, I don't want to miss it. I want to go for it. I think it's much more relevant than this little pawn. Remember, all pawns and all pieces that you have in the chess game, it's just your resources. Don't be afraid of giving it up. Don't be afraid of sacrificing it. It's essentially like money in life. If you're just gonna grab all the money you have and maintain it under your pillow, you're not going to be happy in life. You have to spend it, of course, the right way, but still, you have to invest it, you have to get some fun from it. That's exactly what we are doing here. We are investing this pawn to achieve our essential goal, which is to give a checkmate in chess. All right, so we take here, and then we can still think how to win the easiest, the best way. Do we sacrifice the bishop, or maybe we just play queen h5? But just queen h5, he gets this opportunity to play f5 and block our bishop. We don't want that. Maybe even that is winning, actually, because we are going to have queen g5 check. Oh, my opponent disconnected. Hopefully he's going to come back, because I really want to give him a checkmate. Yes, he's back. Ooh, very excited about this game. I so much like when I get to show you the entire plan from start to finish, because obviously not every time you can just give a checkmate to your opponent from the move 10. But let's think about it. If you don't need to sacrifice, if you can just win casually, of course, that would be even simpler. Queen h5, that creates a checkmate threat in one. Yes, he can step back with the queen, but at least we can take it for free and continue our attack. That cannot be bad for us. Although at least he escapes. But my point was, if he plays f5, trying to block my bishop, have queen g5 check, the only move king h8, queen f6 check, the only move king back to g8, and then rook f3. You always want to bring as many pieces to the attack as possible. But I think again he can step away, check, king f8, rook g7. Like, the attack continues, the attack is very powerful, but maybe rook a7 or something, but rook takes and rook h8, like, it's just a checkmate. I think that is winning. So let's think about this move, rook somewhere. Maybe we play queen h6. We don't allow that guy to disappear, and we threaten bishop takes h7 with a checkmate in a few moves. And if he plays h5, maybe that is a better version for him. Yet we still play rook f3 and rook g3. I think this is just a checkmate. Bishop h7 is an alternative. He takes. If he doesn't take, I mean, we are just crushing. We don't even need to calculate that. So he takes. We play queen h5 check. He plays king to g7, let's say. We play rook f3. We threaten checkmate in one. Now, rook h8 does not help, because we play rook g3 and then we win the rook. I hope you can still follow my variation. He plays rook g8, trying to escape there with king f8. We still win that rook. We give a check, he steps back, we give another check, and then we win the rook on g8. Queen h5 is definitely simpler. Like, we don't even need to sacrifice anything. And if you can make your attack working even without sacrificing anything, this is the simplest thing. But bishop h7 can be the best not to allow him to even escape. Yeah, I want to play queen h5. I think it gives us more opportunities. Again, at every single moment he can take, just giving up that pawn, I don't care. And I think it even helps me, because in many variations I want to play rook to f3, threatening that checkmate, but just as a nice side bonus, it's gonna attack that bishop on a3, why not? This is the plan. This is how this Collet-Zukertort system works, and this is why it makes your chess so much easier. You have this opening that you understand very well. It's not about memorizing the right moves, because this exact position, I have never seen it, like the exact move order. But I knew my ideas. I knew that I have to bring my bishops there, then I have to bring my knight e5, I have to support it with f4, and then I should be looking for those ideas to give my opponent a checkmate. And this is exactly what I'm executing it. You still need to be able to calculate variations. This is the most important skill that you can have in chess. And I helped you a lot. I have a lot of videos where I teach you exactly how you need to think to calculate the right way, the most efficient way. But here, to be honest, we don't even need to calculate because we don't sacrifice anything. I just brought a new piece into the attack, which is always great. And at the same time, I created a huge threat for my opponent. And then if he plays f5, again, always start with the most active opportunities, checks, captures, and threats. And so I have this queen g5 check, queen f6 check, and then bring more stuff. Yes, he goes away because he tries to escape with the king, which is a smart strategy. If I take now, he goes here, and so, yeah, this is not that easy. The king is going to hide there. So my idea was to play queen to h6 instead, so that he cannot hide, and I'm threatening checkmate in a few moves via bishop takes h7. If he plays f6, sorry, f5, then we play rook to f3, threatening rook g3, and queen f6 checkmate, or queen g7. And I don't see how he can handle that. So that's what I'm gonna play. Maybe he can take, and then go back to d4. That is something I might have missed. But no, that's still a checkmate. So bishop e3, king h1. He plays f5 because he needs to block it. And then rook f3, he plays bishop d4, so that he stops both of my checkmating ideas. But I have this third one. That is how powerful and strong I'm here. I play rook g3 check, he has to go here, and then I play rook h3. Yes, you can take my rook, whatever, you're completely winning on this part of the board, but it doesn't matter because I give you a checkmate. Okay, maybe you have to go... Okay, he doesn't take. I think it's a mistake. Because now I don't even need to... I don't allow him to go to d4. He cannot get to this diagonal, which would be very helpful against those checkmating ideas. But I think still I'm gonna give a checkmate there. Alright, what is his plan? How can he stop the checkmate? Because now I have this idea. Yeah. Ah, wait, that is smart. So now if I play king h1, we are gonna transpose to that line, which I think is more difficult for me to handle. But I can just take. That wins the bishop. And his idea is to play queen c5 or queen b6 and pin my rook. And that is a little bit annoying. But that's still an extra piece. I mean, I cannot just leave that guy there and say I don't want to take it. Right. Here, yeah, the only thing I don't like is that I can still not move my rook. Of course, it would be great if I would have already developed my knight, but then I wouldn't be able to create those powerful threats. So let me just play king f2. If he plays d4, then my rook is free to go. Does he have any threats? Not really. He's far away from creating dangerous counterplay for me. Maybe, yes, e5. I was kind of expecting that move. But maybe I can still play king e2. That was my idea anyway. He cannot take, because the rook is actually hanging. And I'm renewing that threat of rook g3 checkmate. I like this plan. How do you even stop the checkmate? Do you sacrifice your queen? That is not really dangerous for us. Maybe king h8 is a smart idea, because now if I play rook h3, he at least has this discover check, and that might be dangerous. It's never too late to spoil your game. I mean, if you allow this queen and rook to attack my lonely king, might get into big trouble. But I think after that, I can start with queen f6 check, and then rook g3 check. Okay, rook e6. That actually also is interesting, because I assume he wants to block it with the rook. Queen g5 is an interesting alternative to rook g3. So if he plays that, I have queen to d8 check, and then if he plays that, I can take on e5. But again, think about your opponent's opportunities. There is a problem. You can take on g2 with the check, and again, it's annoying. My queen is hanging, so I don't have time for that. Yeah, I think rook g3 is what I should play. That removes this rook from trouble. If he plays rook g6, basically there are no threats. Like, my queen is not hanging now, thanks to the pin. I can take. Maybe his idea is something like that, right? And then, yeah, he's creating a few threats. Should be a little bit careful. But also he's threatening e4. This is actually not that simple. e4 is annoying. That would win a piece. But if I take, he has this queen d4 move. I actually can just play c3. Yeah, that solves all of my problems. I'm not sure whether I need to take. Probably I don't. If he takes, I'm gonna take it back. But then his pawns are still in trouble and his king is still naked. So what I want to do is just play that. And if he goes here, I play c3. If he gives me a check, I go all the way back with my queen. Very important, you're attacking and you are successful with your attack. It doesn't mean that necessarily you give a checkmate. Winning a piece is also good enough in terms of your result. And then you don't necessarily need still to give a checkmate. You just need to stabilize the situation to prevent your opponent from creating too much of dangerous counterplay. Once you do that, you're basically just winning the game. Yeah, queen to g1. That is a fascinating idea. So he prevents me from developing, because he understands if I can bring my knight over there, the game is essentially just over. And now he's pinning me. But yeah, maybe he creates a threat of this g2 pawn hanging. I still want to bring my queen back. I feel like if I bring my queen home, helps me a lot. Doesn't have any checks, so I'm gonna go for it. Yes, he can take, but this is just one pawn. And finally exchange those rooks. Right. Well, it's not even the only move. I can also play that, but I don't like this queen h4. Like, you don't want to be fancy. You don't want to give your opponent any unnecessary opportunities. You might regret it later on. But just takes. And yeah, this pawn is hanging. Maybe now king to f2, but queen h4 check. Queen g3, queen d4 check. Again, is a little bit dangerous. Maybe I just give up this pawn. How many pawns does he have? 6. And now he has 1 pawn. So if I give up 1 more pawn for the development, I think it's still fine. Queen f2, queen g4, and even knight f3 solves my problems, because yes. So I want to play that because it's very instructive. Sometimes you want to give up some material back to, again, stabilize the position or to finish your development. My advantage here is that I have an extra piece, but it doesn't help me if I don't use that piece, if that piece is not participating in the game. That is why I have given up that pawn, and now I can activate my pieces, for example, bring this rook, and all of my pieces are playing. This knight is ready to jump, everything is great. Whereas if I would have tried to hold on to that little guy on g2, that would stop me from developing so many of my pieces and would enable my opponent of creating a lot of counter threats, which essentially is his only chance not to lose the game. And now everything is fine. Basically, if I manage to exchange the queens, that would be even better. So for now, I want to bring my knight. Maybe knight g5 is an idea. Yeah, that is actually smart from my opponent. But still, maybe just queen g2. How can he save queen h8 or something? And then queen g7? That might be an idea. But still, that improves my queen. He wants to exchange. I'm happy to help him with that. Otherwise, maybe my idea is to play queen to g5 and queen to f6. Okay, he takes. We're gonna have an endgame. I have to be a little bit careful. I'm low on time, and my opponent has a few pawns. But in the endgame, the importance of keying is the most important thing, the most important factor of your success. A lot of players forget about that. I'm hopefully not one of them, because I'm now bringing my king here, and he's so powerful. Of course, it's important that it cannot be attacked. And yeah, my opponent tries to create a problem for me, because my idea was to take and play knight e5, but then he has this rook h4 check. A little bit annoying. Maybe I even play just king to c5. Why not? Yes, the king is in the center is great, but if I can get through and create threats for him, that would be even better. Main thing is, of course, that I don't get into trouble. But if I fight only against a bishop and rook, it's almost impossible for me to get into trouble. My opponent is very tricky though. He plays that with an idea that if I take, he has king f6, double attack in those pieces. So doesn't matter how great your position is, you never want to spoil it, so always think what your opponent can do. I actually like what he's doing. King d6 was my idea, but probably he wants to play that. Knight d7 check forces him to exchange, but those pawns, they are moving forward. That might get tricky. Maybe I need to remaneuver my knight to d4. That would attack everything. Let's do that. I want to essentially somehow create enough counterplay against those pawns before they become too strong. Right now, this is a threat. By the way, maybe knight f3 was a little bit... Yes, knight f3 was actually much better, because I would just take the pawn now. Always think about all of the possible opportunities you have, not only the most obvious ones. Yet, that still should be good. If he gives me a check, I can even just go here and attack those pawns. There is no checkmate danger or anything. Yes, let's do that. Maybe bishop d7 is his idea, but I'm thinking I can sacrifice a piece, like, let's say knight x5, or... yeah, let's say knight x5 to be sure, so that this bishop is protecting everything still. And then my idea is, after bishop takes, I can just play rook f2 and win the bishop back. That is why he plays that, so he prepares against that idea. But why can't I just take the pawn? If I create my passer, then I just need to push it forward. Yeah. Tries his best to push his pawns. But I think f4 is not a threat, because I'm taken there, and then I take on g4, which means I can just use the... no. Always and always think 2 moves ahead, because if I take, he has bishop d7 check, stepping back, and then he has f4. And those pawns are the only way for him to create problems for me. Those pawns on the queen side doesn't really matter. Maybe I just take it to simplify stuff. And then I take. The simpler you make it, the higher your chances are not to spoil your position and just win it. So now if he does nothing, I just bring it forward and win. So he tries that, which is smart. Maybe I bring my king back. Not sure if that's gonna help me. If I just push and ignore everything, he's pretty fast with his pawns. a4, f4, a5, f3, rook g1, king f4, a6, g3, a7, rook e8. I should be in time to win. Bishop e2 is an alternative, but he can play king f4, g3. How do you continue with that plan? Maybe that way. Yeah, let's push the pawn. Normally, if you have passers, the best thing for you to do is to push it forward. Maybe I haven't underestimated this f2 idea. I definitely don't want to spoil such a nice game, but I'm sure that I should be fast enough here. All I need is to push that. Okay, he plays what I expected him to play. All I need is to push this pawn here so that he must play rook e8 and make his rook passive. And then I can even sacrifice. Yes, here I can just sacrifice immediately. I think he blundered that idea. Because thank God I have this bishop. The bishop is great to control that f1 square. But even if he would play it rook to e8, I would play king b6, he plays f2, I still just sacrifice that, and then I win this one, he wins my bishop, but I have another pawn to promote. I hope this game was instructive. Here is how chess becomes so much easier for you and you crush anyone under 2000 ELO and even beyond. In this playlist, you're gonna learn everything you need to know about this magic opening for white to crush anyone in chess.